Welcome back to the Daily Drum on WHUR and Sirius XM Channel 141. I'm Harold Fisher. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 69% of Black adults were unmarried in 2005 to 2007, compared to 30.9% who were married. In 2021, 51.1% of Black men and 48% of Black women had never been married. And the percentage of Black adults who are unmarried has increased over time, with Black men seeing a 15.8 percentage point increase and Black women seeing a 19.8 percentage point increase between 2022 and those previous years. But in 2006, an article in the Washington Post titled "Marriage is for White People," Joy Jones, a journalist, said the Black population in general, and Black women in particular, have the lowest marriage rate of any racial or ethnic group in the U.S. As a consequence, Black women are leading the way in carving out alternative strategies for establishing emotional, sexual, nurturing, and reproductive needs. Well, tonight, we're talking about mature, middle-class Black women who are single and dating. And what is that like? We pulled this issue out of the book, The Love Jones Cohort, Single and Living Alone in the Black Middle Class, by author Dr. Chris Marsh. She wanted to be part of this conversation, but was on travel and was unavailable. We hope to have her on soon. With that said, my guests are relationship counselor Dr. Carol Ann Trotman, Yolanda Jones, a professional in her mid-50s, married twice, mother of one, Darlene Drummond, professional woman in her late 50s, divorced, no children. Ladies, thank you so much for joining this conversation.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And I also wanted to say, yes, we are going to get in your business. That's the whole point. You can change the names to protect the innocent if you need to. But you know, Dr. Trotman, let me start with you. How's it going in these single streets?
I mean, for me, the single streets are going all right. So I'm dating. I do know that dating these days, though, has been like a hot topic for a lot of people. And I'm not
hot topic or hot mess.
You know what? A little bit of both. Maybe a little bit of both.
Just checking. Mm-hmm.
But definitely a hot topic as to how to go through singleness gracefully in the dating world as well, and making sure that you're vetting people that really are a good match for you. So yeah, I'm having a lot of those conversations in sessions as well.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What are they saying? What are you hearing?
Well, so depending on the age group, right? So if we're talking about, Black women, 40s, 50s.
Mature Black women, yes.
Yeah. Then those women that I've been working with recently have been talking about meeting a certain kind of quality of man, and running into consistently the same type of man, which I think for some people they'll generalize that to the whole pool, but I really do like people to pay attention to what their habits are too, as to why they might be meeting the same type of person, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think that all men are alike or have the same thought process. And if you start feeling that way, I would usually recommend that you expand your pool a little bit. You expand your network and go out and seek a different environment and be around different people.
Mm-hmm. I'm just here for the comments, but Yolanda, you were nodding your head. Your thoughts about what Dr. Trotman was just sharing with us.
I think she's right on. I'm noticing that, and I'm not going to generalize it like you just said, because it isn't the case, but men from the DMV are a different breed.
Say that.
And so that is the crux of it all for me. So what I'm noticing, though, a lot of my friends who are been dating and marrying are marrying men outside of the DMV. And basically now looking for that. So even through dating sites, how you normally try to go within your scope where you live, your range, they're extending that to try to reach another demographic of people, just not outside of DMV being the Black man, but also outside of our race.
Mm-hmm. She said, Dr. Trotman said that sometimes she's meeting the same kind of men, or rather the clients in therapy have said they're meeting the same kind of men, and you nodded your head. What is the same kind of man?
Okay, for me, I'm noticing in terms of the DMV, because this is where I live, that it's the same script. And it's to the point now I've memorized what the script is. I know what they're going to say. I know where they're going. They're saying the same thing.
Such as,
basically, will you take care of me? And can I have these other women? Basically, that's where we're going. And so that limits it. I'm not trying to share anybody at this point. You should have gotten that out your system in your 20s and 30s. And so, in taking care, what have you done to prepare for this? Because I, as a mature woman and with responsibilities, as you state, with a son, I'm trying to make sure that I'm taken care of in my future, and I'm hoping that you're doing the same thing.
I guess when you say that they say to you, take care of me, they're not talking about, can you fix my plate?
No, sweetheart. And taking care in terms of they have not prepared themselves with their own home, their own cars, their own jobs in terms of, just planning for retirement at this point. That's the taking care. Of course, as women, we're already a nurturer, so we're going to do that. I'm going to make sure you're fed. I'm going to do all of that. But when you're not doing anything else, you're not bringing anything, then what is this? I'm the only one bringing something to the table.
What about you, Darlene? When we talk about these single streets, are you seeing potholes, speed bumps, smooth driving on the highway? How would you put it?
All of the above. All of the above. So for me, being divorced since 2015, having no children, right? And being very self-sufficient, you would think that that's a great thing. It's not, because you have to look at what concessions am I willing to make for them. So what happens is you meet the guys, things start out great, calling, want to pursue you, all of that. But then I don't fit into that mold of I am needy. And let me be clear about what that looks like. I don't need you to pay my mortgage, my car payment, my normal maintenance of who I am. My normal maintenance is getting my nails done, just taking care of me, self-care. And so I like going to Starbucks for a meet and greet. I'm okay with Cheesecake Factory. I don't anticipate, nor do I expect you to spend Eddie V's money on me on a first date. I don't even expect that on the first 4 dates. I expect that if it's a special occasion, birthdays and all that, I'm the type of girl, take me to the Starbucks. Can I wear my baseball hat? Can I be comfortable? Can you see me in my authentic self? Because that at this age, 59, soon to be 60 on Tuesday, that's all I know how to be, because I'm a child of the 60s, grew up in the 70s, started dating in the late 80s, 90s, etc. So the dating rules have changed. And when the dating rules have changed, maybe I didn't shift. So I like a guy to open my door. I like for a man to want to, we used to go to Haynes Point and think that was the bee's knees if you was from the DMV area and listen to a little Melvin Lindsay on Quiet Storm and having great conversations. That's not the thing. So for me, they start off great, right? But then they think that they need to speed the momentum up because that's what society does. And I'm just not there.
Dr. Trotman, establishing for the sake of this conversation and more broadly, all three of you are well-educated, solidly middle class. And we are talking about those who are, again, financially self-sufficient, gainfully employed. We are not talking about the living to paycheck to paycheck. We're talking about in the full spectrum of the definition of a Black middle class woman. Do you believe that being solidly middle class, that there are impediments for finding the mate, the match? I mean, we can get to the marriage part later if that's something that you are even interested in doing, but just in finding your match, Dr. Trotman, has being solidly middle class been an impediment, a hindrance? Has it helped? What do you say?
No, I don't feel like it has been an impediment. I think it would be my mindset more, has been more of the issue, or would have been more of the issue. Someone said, and I don't remember who, but I've been using it. Relationship work is self-work, right? So my experience is, it isn't just my class, although that comes with certain expectations, but also understanding and being open-minded that all of the expectations that I might have, or I might think, that might not actually be what I need, or what turns out to be of true value in the relationship.
Really?
So, you know, there's certain things that I don't feel like needs to happen for me to be in a good relationship or find a good mate or good partner. Some people feel like they have to have the same level of degrees, or same level of education and things like that. I want a partner that has certain qualities that are of a good person, that's kind, that might be generous, affectionate. I have other things that I know for sure are needs, over some things that might be considered wants. So sometimes, like when having conversations with clients, there's certain things that they might establish as needs. And so we need to really break down what's the value to that with you. What are you really looking for with that? So if somebody's talking about high figures, right? Like a high salary, what does that really mean for you? What is it about the salary, the person's salary, or the money that they make that will make that an important feature for you, right? And many times it comes down to financial stability, security, not wanting to do a paycheck to paycheck. I've heard recently, I don't want to do struggle love. I've seen that in my family or with my parents, and so I don't want that, right? But that doesn't mean that somebody that makes that amount of money isn't going to still give you, is going to still give you all the things that you think you're going to have, because that's their money, right? So you still have to look for other characteristics that really mesh with the values that you have that fall behind the money, right? Because if you're just looking at dollar amounts, that's not enough. That's just what I've seen.
I want both of you other ladies to address that question, but I do need to take a quick break. Don't forget, you can hear this in every edition of the Daily Drum Insight segment via podcast on WHUR.com. The Original Quiet Storm with John Mons is next on WHUR. I'm Harold Fisher. This conversation continues on Sirius XM channel 141 in just a few seconds. Welcome back to the Daily Drum on Sirius XM channel 141. I'm Harold Fisher. We are continuing our conversation about mature, middle-class Black women who are single and dating. My guests are relationship counselor, Dr. Carol Ann Trotman, Yolanda, who is a professional in her mid-50s, married twice, mother of one, and Darlene Drummond, professional woman in her late 50s, divorced, no children. Before the break, Dr. Trotman was responding to a question I asked about class status. I'll go back to you, Darlene. Do you think that being solidly middle class, homeowner, car driver, educated, well-traveled, articulate, all of those other kinds, and bougie, we can talk about that too, is that helpful, or is that a hindrance? And I speak to the whole bougie thing, and it's slightly tongue in cheek, but also defined as someone who enjoys the finer things in life. Does that get in the way?
So for me, I'm going to say no. And the reason I say that is because I'm God's favorite daughter and God wants the best for me. And I'm sure that there are men out there that want the best for themselves as well. And people use that word bougie as though it's negative, but it's not. It just says that I have struggled, I have grown, I have learned, and I have matured enough to take advantage of all that is within my grasp and my financial means to have. Point blank and period. Like I said, I'm a coffee shop girl. I am the girl who wants to go to the flea markets on the weekends. That doesn't denote me being bougie. That just denotes that I'm well traveled. I know the difference between having something that's okay and having something that's better. But that doesn't mean that a blue collar man is over a white collar man. I actually have a preference. I adore blue collar men. Why is that? I'm a daughter of a firefighter. So I grew up in a firehouse, right? So I look at that as a source of strength and all of that. I mean, you've got to have a balance, a yin to my yang, right? So whatever I don't have, I'm sure that he does or would like to have, and vice versa. So no, I think that you are who you are. You've grown, you matured, you educated yourself. And what's wrong with enjoying what you have without being disparaging to somebody else?
Mm-hmm. But what about you, Yolanda?
I agree, but I want to go back to what Dr. Doc said about the education level. I know that has changed. Coming up in my early 20s and 30s, that was important to me. I wanted someone to match my energy, but now I'm on the other side, and that's not important to me. I'm not looking for someone. You don't have to be like Darlene has said before. I'm not looking for a white collar necessarily. Now it's down to, who are you? Let's be transparent. Who are you? Who is your characteristics in terms of, I'm going to show you who I am. I want to know who you are. Those things aren't important anymore. Like we had said before, we have the money. I'm not looking for that. What I'm looking for is someone to be my yin to my yang, because I want to be able to enjoy my retirement with someone in peace. And peace doesn't come necessarily all from that money, but from what's at home. Can we talk? Can we communicate? Are we on that level together? And because you can't downplay, there are a lot of people who didn't go to college, but are the smartest people you ever want to meet. So I can't put that on a degree. I put that on the wisdom that they learned or either were born with. But that's what it boils down to for me.
But you said something. You did say something that was kind of interesting, and I'd imagine this is less about formal education and life education, or even what some would say a practical thought. You said you want to be able to enjoy your retirement, and not just the activities, but having the ability to retire. And I'm talking about economics. One would hope that the man that you would interact with would also, because we are talking about mature women who are thinking about retirement, that he has retirement. He does have that. That would help, I would imagine, Yolanda.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
And what about, I do want to go back to the economics thing, because we are seeing, particularly with Black women, educated Black women, career-minded Black women, who do have a strong economic foundation, financial foundation, and let's put aside those men who, as Yolanda was talking about earlier, who want to be taken care of. Let's throw those folks. Let's throw the whole taken care of man out, Darlene. But is there, if you are making, $150,000 a year, for example, I'm just throwing that out there. Is there a floor, a financial floor for you as it relates to the kind of partner that you would want?
To be honest,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
of
Tell the
course.
truth and shame the devil. Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course. At this age, you should kind of have established yourself. Your baseline should be covered. Your foundation should have been built. Again, we're in a different time frame where we didn't grow up in the microwave stage. We grew up. First thing you thought about was, okay, get a good job because you got to put into your retirement because you got to make the most money you can at the last 10 years of your life, so your Social Security is sitting pretty. So those are the things that we grew up with. So it's ingrained in us that from a younger age, when we first started working back in our 20s, that these are the things that we attain. Not everybody got that lesson, but will it work for me? If I have a retirement, I've got a life insurance policy, and you don't, and we're thinking about maybe being life partners or I'm getting married again, what does that look like? What does it look like for him? Is he going to be confident and secure enough to say, okay, I love her, I want to be with her, but is she going to have to keep working because I did not prepare myself accordingly for my future? I've been divorced, had to start over again, rebuild, resecure, refinance, do all of that. Make sure my credit was up to par, right? Because it was important to me to make sure that I am not a liability, but an asset. So that's how I look at it. Or do you want to be with a person who's more of a liability or an asset? Build with me, add to me, because I'm not at that age where I can start over again.
Go ahead.
I do want to say this though, because you said something that was great. I'm open though to a man who may not be there completely, but is open to learn. And if you are open, I can help you get there because you want, and you're not going to resent me for it. Then I don't mind doing that. Because not everyone, like Darlene had said before, was taught the same things. And so he may not have been taught how to handle his money properly. And he may have made some mistakes and doesn't know how to get up. I don't mind that, but that shouldn't be where I'm going to help you and then you leave. We have an end game. This is a purpose. What is the end game for both of us? And can I help you get there?
You said that you don't mind helping him as long as he won't resent you. Drill down a little bit more with me about that.
Okay. I've been married twice. Okay. And both times I was married, my ex-husbands did not make as much money as I made. But that wasn't a deterrent for me because it was about the love, supposedly. But in one of the situations, it ended up being a resentment that I made more, even though I never lauded it over the person's head. It was their insecurities that kept on coming into play. And hence, that's why we ended up getting a divorce because.
And what's his name? I'm just kidding. We call him, not kidding. Go ahead.
Oh, no. So you don't want that they end up resenting you for something, because everyone has strengths and weaknesses. So I'm pretty sure my weaknesses, he was strong in, which could have balanced us out. But he kept on focusing on his own weaknesses, even though I was trying to pull him up, but ended up resenting me.
I want to go back, Dr. Trotman, not so much about you, but the things that you are learning from the clients that you were counseling. And when they begin, the Black women that are sharing with you their impediments and, their single streets struggles, and I'm talking specifically of those who are solidly middle class, who are well educated, who are in that box for this conversation. What have they told you that gave you pause or surprised you?
Besides that, they have a belief. Some of them have a belief that all men cheat. And they have a fear of what did one person tell me recently? The fear is that they would invest in that person and have to deal with heartbreak because they don't open up easily. So I'm hearing a lot of, when people are in my office, they're coming in to learn how to be ready for the relationship that they want. And they're also opening up and learning how to trust themselves again if they've gone through like heartbreak, right? So if they're coming out of an old relationship, if there's been any betrayal trauma, or anything like that, they are learning how to trust themselves and trust their guts and not beat up on themselves because something bad happened in another relationship that might have really been based on that other person's behavior. It might not be for them to own. It's that other person's behavior. But getting over that takes work because you lose a certain sense of just trust in yourself, like that your picker is off. That's the other term. Like they feel like their picker is off. And so rebuilding that self-confidence, that you have good discernment, you are able to choose somebody that's good for you. You do actually have to go outside and live in order to find the type of person that you want. Because the other thing is that they're staying at home or they're working excessive hours, or they're doing other things that may not allow them to be in the space where you can actually attract the type of person that you want. Because people will come and they'll try. So people will come and they will want to talk to you. That doesn't mean that everybody that talks to you gets access to you, right? And so it's still a numbers game, but because they don't like playing the numbers game, like the expectation is there's somebody that I like and they like me, and therefore it should be an automatic match. That is something that you have to kind of get over. Everybody's not going to be an automatic match. Everybody's not going to be interested at the same level. You do have to go and have fun to see and get to know the other person, which I believe that Yolanda was mentioning, like getting to know who this person is authentically. And that doesn't usually happen just sitting across from a dinner table. That happens living and being outside and doing the things that you enjoy, and then seeing other people that are doing the same things that you might be interested in, enjoy, and get to know them, right? So getting out and living right now when they're solidly in the middle or towards the end of their career where they're worried about retirement and all those things, that's kind of what's coming up with the women in that age group. Learning how to get outside and actually date, being okay with trusting their gut, in terms of their picker, and just being open-minded about, hey, you don't have to take this on as looking for like everybody is not the perfect match in the first meeting, but you might have to meet a few people, and that's okay.
Let me ask this. I want to ask about non-romantic friendships.
Okay.
In other words, your girlfriend's posse, or even your non-romantic friends. Darlene, I'll start with you. What impact do you believe those friendships have on your ability to establish romantic relationships? Do any of your friends impact it at all? Do they get in the way? Are you outside with your friends? Is that an impediment again, or does it help, or is it a wash?
My squad is awesome because my squad will call me out. We'll call each other out on the carpet. You're doing too much. You're not doing enough. Cut him some slack, or that one got to go. But because they know me and they've known me, they will give me the real. They can see red flags before I can see them. And I might try to convince them, no, he's good. No, he's not. Because what's going to happen is you just tolerating it because you're nice. And they'll call me out and say, no, you're not the Texan girl. you know that's not for you. The WYD in the mornings. You know you are a communicator. You know
Good morning,
you
the good
get
morning, beautiful.
I was about to go. The good morning, every day you set your watch. Good morning, beautiful. How precious. They like, you know, you get bored with that. You need communication. You need constant. I know my love language. Words of affirmation is number 1. Acts of service is number 2. And they know that about me. So if I'm engaging and I'm telling them, okay, I met this guy. This is where you meet him. What do you do? He got kids? Because they know I don't have any kids. So if they have children that are still in high school or junior high, elementary school, God forbid, they know it's not going to work. Why? Because I'm open, I'm free, which means I need to support his priorities. And your children should always be your number 1 priority. Now, I can't call and say, hey, we can take this cruise and I only got to pay XYZ. Can you go? I got to check and see if my kid's mom, if we can switch weeks. They know that's not my lifestyle. So that's why my squad is important. They will tell me he's a waste. Okay, pipe down, give him an opportunity to get it right and together. But we do that for each other. So I think it's so important that you definitely have real friends that will speak to you in a real way.
Mm-hmm. Yolanda.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with her. You definitely, I know I have a, like she said, a squad that's real with me, because I'm not gonna lie. The truth with me is I miss clues. I miss sometimes men, and it goes over my head. And my friends have to say, did you not see this? And I would have missed it, because I'm more straightforward, and I prefer guys who are just straightforward instead of trying for me to figure it out, because if you're looking for it, I'm probably gonna miss it, baby. So that's good to have your good girlfriends to tell you. But I do have a lot of good guy friends, like he was saying, that are platonic. But because I'm not going to lie, women are looking at it through the same lens. And so I need a man to look at it differently, because he's a man, to tell me, no, sweetheart, this is really what is going on. So they're so helpful to me. And I lean on them, even if I'm just dating someone and we're just talking. I said, okay, this is how the conversation went. This is how I interpreted it. But it's not sitting right. Did I miss it? And they can tell you, yes, you did, or yes, you didn't. So I'm thankful for them.
I agree 100%. And then you have some male friends that will hurt your feelings and say that they love you, give you a tissue, wipe your tears, and be like, you need to let that go, block and then delete. I'm telling you what I know. And then when we listen to, listen, I have the PhD on the block and delete. Yeah, because if you block the number, right, and then you delete it, right, if you just block it, they still have access to you. But if you block it and then you delete the whole contact, you no longer have the phone number. So there's no guessing. It's a done deal. But then you have to say, what are the red flags? When do you get to that point? You get to that point when the communication drops off. You get to that point when there is no mutual interest. And like Yolanda had mentioned earlier, you match energy. No, I match effort. I need the effort to be matched. If I'm calling you, I'm communicating with you, I'm adjusting myself. Are they doing the same? Am I making you just as important to learn about you, have to build a friendship with you as you want to do with me? And if that's a no, and no, then we're not matching effort. So we're wasting each other's time, and we don't need to do that.
Dr. Trotman, certainly friendship in and of itself is good for you, but when a partner enters, how do you believe, and let's say you have a good partner, not the Yolanda they want to be taken care of, but if you are developing a connection with a good a good person who is mature, he's employed, likes you, likes his mama, paid his child support. If that was an issue, paid, I mean, past tense. In other words, his children are grown and out of that kind of financial supporting situation. Can your friends get in the way or not?
I would definitely say that's a possibility,
Mm-hmm.
but hopefully, your friends are just as invested in you being happy uh, as they would be for themselves. So hopefully they would be able to understand, like, okay, when you're establishing something new, that does take more time. There's the honeymoon period, right? That period of limerence where everybody's kind of getting together and bonding and want to spend all the time together and things like that. But the person that hopefully is a good match for you is also a good friend, right?
Mhm.
So this is hopefully this is somebody who can mix with your friends, because many times you have similar friends, like they, or you pick a similar characteristic in your friends, right? So I'm hoping that when people are talking about their friendships, they're also noticing that those friendships come with qualities that would support them being in a healthy relationship, right? So they're going to understand if it's like a Jill Scott song. No, I can't hang with you tonight. I'm gonna, I'm hanging with Bay. Like, girl, I got you. I understand exactly what's going on. All right, let's get something on the calendar, and we'll be open to that for you. Especially if you've been in the dating, girl, and it hasn't been good for you to finally have something that's good, and they're happy
Mm-hmm.
for you, right? So friends can get in the way. Uh, but that would be something for you to pay attention to, like what's going on with my friend, that's not something that they're happy about, or they're expressing like a concern because they see a red flag, like the ladies mentioned, they see a red flag that you can't see. Or is this more about they are feeling like somebody's taking you away from them? Like, those are two
Yeah.
different things, and you got to pay attention to both. But if they're your friends, hopefully they have your best interest at heart. So
At the beginning of this conversation, I was quoting journalist Joy Jones, and I want to go back to that, where she said, as a consequence, Black women are leading the way in carving out alternative strategies for establishing emotional, sexual, nurturing, and reproductive needs. If we throw out the reproductive needs in this group conversation, because Darlene, you said you have no children. Yolanda, been there, you've been there, done that. You have a son. And I didn't know about you, Dr. Trotman. I don't know what's
oh, no,
children.
no children.
Want them? Yes, no.
Yes, I do want children.
Okay, so we're going to throw you out. But no, I'm kidding. But 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 no, I'm kidding. But let me. I'll start with you, Yolanda. When is she right when she said, talking about alternative strategies for establishing emotional, sexual, and nurturing needs? What has been your own personal evolution regarding those things, getting to the station and age in life that you are?
I hate to say, but I compartmentalize people to meet those different needs. So my girlfriends would be the ones who, if I need to, my feelings. But if I want to or have fun sometimes, and I also have male friends who do that too. We've grown since you said we're going to get into our business. I've grown now, but yes, I had that little boy toy back in the day. It was
No, no,
yes, I know.
no.
Even me, they say from the him.
Right.
But the thing is, because I knew I had a small child. I didn't want anyone to come and disrupt that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you served a purpose. But now he's getting older, and my the things that I want have changed. So yeah, I'm looking for that. Not all of that in one person, as the doctor said. I'm looking for a friend and a lover in one person.
Mm-hmm.
So.
What about you, Darlene? How has that evolved, for you, from not just a young pre-married single person, but as a long divorced person?
So my interesting dynamic is this. I got married late in life. I got married at 41.
Mm.
So I had a PhD in enjoying singleness.
Okay.
So when I got married at 41,
That's
I
your
was
second
ready.
PhD for this conversation, by the way.
Yes, yes. So when I got married at 41, I was all in, prepared, ready. Oats been sowed, been there, done that. The highs and lows, great sex, horrible sex, mind blow, all that. Been there, done that. So when I got married, I was all in. So here I am now divorced, right? That's I'm a nurturer by nature. And so what happens is now that my faith comes into play with me, what I'm not trying to do is create a whole bunch of soul ties out here, which means I'm not just trying to physically connect with somebody so I can go woo, woo, woo for 7 seconds.
Mm.
Okay. And then you leave me with still the same emotional stuff that I had prior to the beginning of the 7 seconds. Okay.
I'm looking at my watch right now.
You know,
One,
because it is what it is. It's the physicality of it all, right? But you want the companionship. You want the friendship. You want the trust there. You know, we don't live in an age back and before. We got stuff now you can't get rid of. I'm too old to be trying to deal with things I can't get rid of. I'm not trying to be a secret girl, I spy. I don't need to know your sexual history. I don't need to know what came before me. What I need to know is that you want to be about me. Like I want to be about you. So before I invest that portion of my emotions, whereas when I was younger, we didn't tie our emotions in our heart in the same way. But once you get a little seasoned and experienced, you already know you like what you like and you want what you want, but you want to make sure that it's treated nicely.
Yeah, I only have a minute left, and I'll let Dr. Trotman have the last word. Your final thoughts, Dr. Trotman.
Finding alternative ways. So it would really depend on what those alternative ways look like, because some people shut all the way off and their alternative ways is like, I'm not going to be tied to anything or anybody. But if you are looking to find an alternative way to do this part of your life with community, then that is perfectly fine. And you should do that, because as you grow older, like, you need even more community, right? So that should definitely be a part of what you're doing when it comes down to building a family. Family isn't just who's blood related to you. You build family, right? So that's your friends. That is, of course, if you're the person that you're going to be in partnership with. But ultimately, it's okay to rethink and reinvent this part of your life to what works best for you, as long as you're not lying to yourself in the process. Right?
I like that.
I don't want, right? Would you? Yeah.
I like that. I'm going to have to let that be the last word. I will say, talking to you ladies, yes, there is hope. Thank you all so very, very much. That is the Daily Drum for this Friday, August 2nd. For News Director Renee Nash, reporters Millette Green, Bramante Bryan, producer Candace Atkins Wilson, I'm Harold Fisher. Good night.